Hello, once again, Baxter here with you. I want to bring you another portion, another section of my interpretation of the division of the Bibles. And today this is part 3. And so we don't want to waste too much time because we have a lot to cover in all the other videos. But anyway, it's good to have you with me here again this evening. So let's have a quick review here on the board behind me. Once again, I hope you can see it well. I didn't quite write it out like I wanted to, but here we go. First of all, we start off again. The divisions of the Bible is what we're talking about. And I said last week that this Bible, the most sold book that there is, probably will continue that way. That in this here we have two divisions, which is the Old Testament division from the beginning of time up here until the cross whenever Christ died. And then we have the New Testament from that point on, which is written in Greek, which covers some of this testament here, because some of this new, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are under this old law, as Christ was raised there and died under that. At that point that he died, then we have something different. So we divide these things up, these divisions, into 3 divisions. One being back here where the fathers reigned from the beginning of time up until Mount Sinai. That here we have all these people back here from Adam and so forth, Adam, Abraham, Jacob, and so right on down the line. We're going to cover a few of those right here. But this is when the fathers reigned up until Mount Sinai, when they came out of Egyptian bondage and they got the law of God from Moses as he went up there. He was up there 40 days and 40 nights. And received that law from God. And so from that point there to the cross, this is known as the Mosaic period, or Moses' law, which they were under from this point up until Christ died upon the cross of Calvary again. Now, that puts us then this day in the Christian age, because that's what came after this. And the writings of this period ended at 100 years or less. So it was not written to us, any of it, but it was written for us. And this is why it's important to understand what went on and how we can look at these things and understand what it is that God is trying to tell us if we follow the history. So last week we covered, or last video, let's just put it like that. Last video, I said that back here under the fathers here, under this time period, from 0 up until here, when they went into the Ark of the Covenant, we call this before the flood. Go back and catch that video, if you will, and it will show you what happened in these first few 7 chapters of the scriptures. Now, from chapter 6, basically, in here we skipped that, went up to there, and that's where Noah entered the ark. Him, his wife, 3 sons, and their wives. And so as 1 Peter 3:21 says in 3:20, that there was 8 souls saved by water. And these are these 8 souls we're going to talk about today. So it starts out here then in chapter 8 of Genesis. That here that Noah is remembered by God as being in the ark after being in that ark for a year and some few days, or a year and a month and a few days. That there then Noah is told, come out of the ark. He comes out. This is the first place that we find then that they eat animals and so forth. And he offers a sacrifice unto God at this point for coming out of this. Now, in chapter 9, that here we find that God made a new covenant with Noah, that he said, from this point on, or never again will I destroy the earth with water in this way. Never again will I do that. And he put a rainbow in the sky as a symbol of his covenant, as a memorial to that promise, which is why you have the rainbow today. Every time you see that rainbow, this is where that came from. Now, in this same chapter, then, after this here rainbow here, and that covenant with them, you find that we have that Noah planted a vineyard, and from there that he sinned, not he didn't, but his sons did, by what they did, or one of them did to him. And at that point, that one was cursed. You need to go read that to see exactly what he's talking about here and follow through on this. This will help you to better understand as the scriptures comes to life through this little pathway here. Then, in chapter 10, right here, we find that there is a generation, a recording of the generations of Noah's sons. And they're here to show us who a pathway of people come through. Because back here you have Adam, then this here is going to be the same lineage, and you come through. These 8 people that were saved is where the rest of the earth today came through. Of course, Noah and his wife never had any more children. So the rest of us came through his other 3 sons. The 3 races that are here upon the earth. Chapter 11 starts out. We find the Tower of Babel. Babel, some pronounce it. And here's the story real quickly. Is that man had multiplied upon the earth as God told him to do. They were all wanting to stay together. And they said one day, let us build us a tower unto the heavens that we might see God. And I'm paraphrasing. And God looked down and said, you know what? They're going to do what they set out to do unless we stop them. So God came down, and I use that as an idea for us to understand. God caused the people to begin to speak different languages so that they couldn't understand one another to finish that project, and therefore would disperse throughout the earth and multiply and be fruitful and replenish the earth like he told them to do to begin with. People have always had a problem with being obedient to God, but God finds a way to fix it. So this is what God did. Here's the Tower of Babel, and then after that, this chapter then goes into the generations of Shem, which is one of the sons of Noah, through Abram, which will become Abraham, the father of faith, and we will continue with that in our next section, because then we're going to get into the little short time period again before this period here that we're going to call the patriarchal age again, which is a very short window of this period when the fathers ruled, and this is going to be Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, and then they're going to go into Egyptian bondage. So it's a little short thing here this evening, but I hope you found value in this. If you have, please share this with somebody in your local neighborhood or somebody on the internet that you might know, and comment down below when you find it if this has been helpful, and indeed share it that we all might grow in Christ. And if we can help you and you found this on our page, contact us please so we might further our studies together. Thank you very much.